Hello everybody, welcome to chapter 36 on my RLDR Custom Creations YouTube channel. And the burning question today is, what time is it? Well, it's fix your obsolete tool time. Well everybody, as I said in the intro, today's little video is going to be about how I managed to, with a little bit of help from my friends, get this obsolete oscillating spindle sander working again. Listen to that. All right. Well, it kind of started, oh boy, this would be February. I unexpectedly had a class of youngsters that was going to be coming in here once a week for their weekly industrial arts class. So I knew I would need this machine, so while we were busy turning, we spent February and March turning because I do have enough lathes to do that. I looked at this machine, and the last time I'd used it, I realized that the spindle was going around, but it wasn't going up and down. So I wanted that repaired for when I started to have students use it. So rather than take it apart myself, I have a very, very good tool repair person right in our community here. So I threw it on my truck, hauled it out to Ray's place, and dropped it off. And a couple days later, he gets in touch with me and has some news for me. The part that was wore out was this worm. I actually knew okay, let's rephrase that. I knew nothing about how this thing worked. I just was glad it did. But this worm is really important when it comes to having it go up and down. And I don't know if you can see that from at the distance that my camera is, but that gear is shot. Okay, it was no longer engaging in the worm gear, and so the up and down movement of the sander was no more. So the problem was found, but then we ran into another problem immediately. Ray got on the phone, got in touch with King Canada, and tried to order this part. Well, they still make this part, but it was $175 plus shipping. So this would have come from Ontario. It would have been every bit of $25, $30 to ship this. So I was looking at over $200 just for this part. So he didn't order it. We had a little bit of a conversation, and I said, you know what, I'll look into finding the parts, and if we could leave it sit at his place disassembled for what ended up being 2 months. Sorry, Ray. But so I needed to track down a worm like this. Well, I spent a couple weeks looking. And finally, I realized a couple of things. First of all, thank you, King, for putting information about your equipment online. And even my outdated one, I don't know if you can see this, but there's parts breakdown with parts numbers and everything in the following pages. For this is their old one. This is the new one. And knowing what I know about manufacturers, they don't like to change tools all that much. They'll maybe refresh the case, give them a new look, but often the internals are similar, if not identical. So I went into Great Western Saw, had a conversation with John there, and ordered this part from a new King sander, benchtop sander, for $50, okay? And of course, King parts, like any parts these days, they're always on a slow boat from somewhere, and it took, I think, the better part of 2 months to have that come. So in that 2 months, I thought, okay, what if the worm works, it all fits, but it doesn't mesh properly with the gear? So I thought, well, maybe I should just replace the gear as well. So I ordered the matching worm gear to go with it from the new King sander for another $50. So I had $100 into this. And if it didn't work, I just wasted $100. But I was quite confident it would. I've had enough experience with other pieces of equipment to realize that the way machines are built these days, parts may be the same, used in many different models. I should rephrase that. The same part may be used in many different machines. So I was confident it would fit. So finally the parts got here, and I could tell right away when I picked up the new worm and tried to slide it on my finger. I said, yep, that's the same shaft size. The only difference between the parts was the new one is made out of steel. This one's made out of brass. So the old one's brass, the new one's steel. The worm gear would need a little bit more modification to work. It would work if we would have absolutely had to do this, this could have been made to work. But Ray was telling me the gear was a little bit narrower and it needed to have some holes drilled in it so other things could connect to it. So that we decided, or at his recommendation, the old gear was in really good shape. So we just put the old gear back in and put the new worm in, and theoretically for $100, this thing was back up and running. So I think it's really important if you're trying to keep older machines running that you look around a little bit and see what you can find. The other thing that made me realize that these part numbers probably weren't a whole lot different is when I looked at the part number. So on the old King, the part number for the worm, it has 2 1s, and then I think it's 4 8s, like not 488, 4 8s, and then 2040. So on the new machine, on the new part number, again it starts with the 2 1s, and then it has 4 9s, and then 2040. So I gambled, and I thought quite confidently that that part was going to work. And yes, there was a subtle change up in that part, but it works. And this thing runs wonderfully. In fact, I had it together for last Tuesday, and it went on at 1 o'clock and turned off at 3. So kids ran it the whole time, which was awesome. The other thing that I did that I'm going to include in this little video, so now we've got the tool running. We used parts from a newer machine which fit the old machine. But I like to have stationary equipment. I like to have my equipment on a stand, or better yet, if it would be a floor model, that it would have a stand of its own, and you can stand here, you can stand here, wherever you want to, and you can run this thing. For working with students in my shop, I pretty much have to have that. The other machine I have that I'm going to do the same thing for yet is I have a 12-inch disc sander that I'm going to build a base for like this, and have it stand independently as well. What I like about this is, first of all, I could get the height right. So this is perfect, and it's good for my students because they're all pretty much as tall as I am. But the other thing that I really like is it has a drawer where I can put all of the accessories that go with this machine. And what that did is that cleaned up 2 boxes of parts from my shop floor, which was wonderful. Also, that door or that drawer closes quite, it's almost a little sticky, which is great because when this machine vibrates, it doesn't vibrate open. So I even kind of tried to match the paint color. In the end, I didn't have this machine when I did that. I took a picture of the base and took it to Home Depot and matched it. it's close, it looks nice. Nice handle too. But anyway, so that's maybe one way you can keep your older equipment running. If you're trying to woodwork on a limited budget, you maybe will end up buying most of your equipment from Facebook Marketplace or Kijiji. And there's nothing wrong with that. Most of my equipment here, other than a few select pieces, are from Kijiji. So it is what it is, and if you can keep it running as economically as you can, those are really, really good things to be able to do. So yeah, that brings the content part of this video to an end. So just remember to like, share, and subscribe. Like to see those subscriber numbers go up a bit. Not terribly much interest in the tiling videos, and hey, I get it. I'm getting to the point there's not much interest in making them. But like I said, I want to document that for myself, and we're going to basically finish tiling next week, and hopefully that'll all get done, and then I can get on to the good stuff, and those videos will get better, and I'll keep trying to introduce some short little woodworking content videos on the weekends. So with that in mind, have an awesome week, everybody, and we will see you towards the end of next week.